everyone, and welcome to another edition of Celebrate Success. I'm your host, Dave Cox, from the WMISD Intermediate School District. Besides our guests that we have every month, the really cool, unique part of this show is that it is directed and produced by students at the WMISD Career Tech Center Digital Media Productions Program. So they are behind the scenes and behind the cameras and in the control room helping us, making sure everything works out just perfect. So thank you, students, for what you do and being part of this program. Today we have two special guests from the Cadillac Area Chamber of Commerce. We have Caitlyn and Beth. Caitlyn, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
I'm Caitlyn Stark, president with the Cadillac Area Chamber of Commerce. We will do the vision of what business engagement and driving business forward looks like in the region. And I have with me my leadership and operations director, Bethany Miller. She's an entire pillar of what our 3-pillar process, which is our talent pipeline management, as well as the operations for all of our major event programming, including the annual Governor's Breakfast, where we got to work with these students just 2 weeks ago, which was very, very cool.
That's right, and I believe one of them was there. Yeah, she's raising her hand back there. How cool was that? So those folks that don't really know what a Chamber of Commerce is, this is an opportunity. This is going to be a YouTube audience worldwide. Maybe they want to be part of the Cadillac Area Chamber of Commerce in Mexico. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Tell us a little bit about what that is and what it entails.
The cool thing about a Chamber of Commerce is if you've met one chamber, you've met one chamber, and that's because your Chamber of Commerce is solely for your community. And every community is different, but it's a chamber. It's a space or an entity that brings commerce, brings together resources and partnership for the improvement and betterment, and typically of your business community. Depending on what your community looks like, that can include anything from startups to advocacy to the talent pipeline management, which we'll talk about in a minute. It will go into all sorts of different elements in which can be economic development, community development, workplace development, business development to drive business forward in the economy for the area.
On top of that, you mentioned the stool, the three-legged stool, but also education, right? Because I know that we at the ISD and even our local schools are members of the Chamber of Commerce because of that unique connection or tentacles of collaboration. Is, I believe, an award we received at one point because of some of the things that we do with you folks. So how does a person become a president of a Chamber of Commerce? Seriously.
That's a great question.
I think it's awesome because we're at a tech center, right? And we have opportunities and careers. Not every student in digital media is going to go into digital media productions, but maybe they want to be the president of a chamber someday, or anybody, our audience out there. How do you get there, Caitlyn?
Probably similarly to what it means to be a superintendent. You have to be incredibly passionate, and you have to be evolve-oriented, and you have to meet your community. You have to meet your school district where they're at. Our chamber, similar to the school district, is evolving to meet students where they're at. We had to meet our business and our economy where we're at. So our chamber went from promotions, exposure to advocacy to that pillar that I was talking about, where advocacy, rural investment, and our talent pipeline. Our community really appreciates the professional development, the networking, the engagement, but also what does it mean to fight for your business on a legislative level? Because it's so much work to run a business. All those outside factors that are impacting your business that are so outside of what you do on an everyday basis, we go alongside those businesses to work with them.
And I got to imagine that, because you had mentioned legislative advocacy as well, but there's a lot of different businesses. So there are times that it's like herding cats because they may want you to do something, but I might oppose the view of a different business depending on what it is. Is that fair to say? Because how many members do you have?
We have just under 300 members.
Yeah, so that's perfect. That's a lot of people to make happy. So
businesses are like people.
Yeah, for sure.
And different industries are like the different types of personalities of businesses. Our businesses are very diverse. We have healthcare, we have education, we have manufacturing, we have hospitality. We have small businesses that have 2 employees, and we have small businesses that consider themselves small businesses that have 500 employees. But we have businesses that have thousands of employees. We have locally owned, we have internationally owned, we have private owned and public owned. So yes, what you have to do in order to serve, similarly that you would do with a school district in each one of your departments, you're meeting with each department, and we're meeting with each one of our industries on a regular basis and asking them, what are you being impacted with this week? Especially post-COVID, it changes so frequently. We ask based on things that we're hearing, but we always ask that open question, what does staffing and hiring look like this week? how would this new state bill impact you? What does this even mean? And to them to share that feedback, we get this well-rounded answer. And from there, we develop how we're going to serve our membership. Whether it's for advocacy specifically, there's 3 ways we try to support. And so I'll share out to my government affairs committee. I'll share out to my HR committee. I'll say, how is this going to impact you? And I'll get a response back, and I'll either put in a card of opposition or support. I'll make a call or a phone call to a legislator on our behalf, or I'll sign onto a coalition. We don't know that stuff until we meet with our membership. So to your herding question, you ask your experts, who's your membership, directly. And when you get that holistic answer from that feedback, that's how you kind of get a feel of how you're going to best support them.
And with that said, you may not necessarily pick a side. You may be a neutral on a specific legislative item because of the membership. Is that fair to say?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And sometimes where we're getting information from, the Michigan Chamber or the U.S. Chamber, our community is different.
Yes, they
sometimes.
are. Yeah.
And so you're
opposing that, even opposing the Michigan State Chamber, which is a larger organization,
Yep.
or the U.S. Supreme Court Chamber. I get it. Yeah.
We take the stance of what our businesses want and what moves our business forward in our region.
Yes.
So whatever side it is, we're here for the business, and that's our stance.
Yeah. Beth, I'm glad you chimed in there. Why don't you go ahead? No, introduce yourself, because we were talking about serving memberships, and I know that's kind of your bigger piece of the puzzle at the chamber.
Yeah, so I'm Bethany Miller, Leadership and Operations at the Chamber. And as Caitlyn mentioned, talent pipeline is one of our huge pillars right now because we need our next workforce. We need our students and next generations and future leaders to stay here and work here and fill those open positions that we have. And so our focus is, how do we engage them now? How do we engage them at a middle school level, at a high school level, at an emerging leader level? So we have a few different programs that we're running. One is a 9-month program, and it's for adults that are kind of in that emerging leader role. I know we partner with WMISD on a regular basis and have some of those students in that program. But
I'm an alum.
Yes, there's lots of alum. Everyone will vote that they're the best class ever. But they get together, they spend 9 months, and they spend a day each month focusing on a different pillar of the community. So one day it might be manufacturing day or education day. So they kind of get intimate, behind the scenes tours and conversations with different business leaders. And they also get together and choose a community project. So they kind of focus down through that servant leadership line, what it means to volunteer, kind of be on a board, work together with different personalities for one mission. And then we also are working on programs. Right now we're working with our high school with a 4 for 40 program so the students there are freshmen through seniors.
That's Cadillac High School?
Cadillac High School, yep. A lot of them are in sports. Some of them are not. So we're kind of slowly starting to expand it. But they get skills over the next 4 years that they can utilize for the next 40. So we're working with them. We had a big group of them that came to our governor's breakfast, which was amazing. And then we're working on trying to connect those business leaders and an entry-level job. So kind of going forward, we're going to do some kind of dating among businesses and students, as you will, to try and see if we can fill in that talent pipeline and do some different programming in 2025, like bringing back a regional job fair. So that was a lot, but those are just a few.
That's a few of the
things we're working on.
Many projects that she's working on.
Let's rewind a little bit. Let's go back 2 weeks. How does one get the governor to come to Cadillac, Michigan, and talk to me about that event, how long it's been going on?
Well, we learned there was one trick, right, Caitlyn? The one trick is to call it
the annual governor's breakfast. Yes, which we were informed about. One of I think it's an honor, and her staff mentioned it this past year. This is one event they will annually do. And I think what goes to tribute is the leadership of the chamber previous to us have always made it a pleasurable experience. We have always gone on over our way to make sure this is as smooth as possible. So each governor has shared with us, and we found letters in the office from past governors talking about how they've appreciated the experience and then have shared with the next governor coming in to let them know the Cadillac Area Chamber of Commerce. I think that says a lot about one, what our community is willing to do to make it happen, but also what our community makes the event about, which is ultimately the students. Having the student involvement there is so unique, and how it can grow and evolve. And we get really creative. We ask for a lot of feedback on that. It makes it way more fun. And those are the future voters when we're talking about the legislators that can participate. But to the workforce that's coming, that's the future workforce. So and they're coming from all over the region, these students, to participate in this experience. So you're not limited geographically truly on what that experience looks like, but how we can evolve the event, we continue to look at so that we can have as much student engagement as we can.
Yeah, it seems as this year you added a couple. Was it 2 or 3 schools?
Yeah.
Outside of the WMISD ISD service area, yeah.
Gaylord and Charlevoix. And
Charlevoix, that's
so we had over
ways,
500 students, and then we have about 400 from our business community and legislators and chambers all over. So, we can expand it slightly, but not too much, because we're going to start running out of room. Every year gets a little bit bigger and bigger.
Yeah. How many years has it been?
This was the 46th. So, yes.
Wow.
And I think there was only one that wasn't able to attend in person due to fog. And
Governor Granholm.
Yes.
She attended via cell phone. I remember.
Yes.
I think it was my first or second year.
Okay.
Might have been my first year it was second year, because as a leadership, I remember getting a picture with her. So it must have been my first year.
And to note, we could not do the event without the CTC students and ISD, which we were so awesome this year. The culinary students did an amazing job putting on the breakfast and supplying that.
And I can speak for the staff. We appreciate that opportunity to provide that opportunity. Does that make sense? I know the students that are helping us today with the cameras, they were shadowing the real media, if you will, which is just a unique opportunity.
The band plays. We have
Cadillac
the public safety comes and helps with
direct
parking.
traffic outside.
So as
it
many
is quite
roles.
a lot of moving parts, isn't it, to make that come to, even if at the end of the day it's a relatively short.
So it's another day.
Yeah, but I can't imagine at the end of the day you're just like, that's great. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Fine, we're not tired.
No, I'm sorry. Well, thanks for being here, though. I appreciate that. So what else is going on in your world? What's the next big thing the Chamber has on their calendar?
So we have our Briefcase Open, which is our annual fundraiser. Chamber of Commerce's, as many of you probably don't know, are nonprofit, and so our fundraising or our funds only come from our members. So we do an annual fundraiser that we fill up 2 golf courses for in order to raise funds for all of our operations and programming. So that's coming up. Followed by our community awards, which we have a past winner sitting here with us. So,
I forgot.
Outstanding Citizen, right?
Yes.
Yes, our Outstanding Citizen and Spirit of the Community. There's one named each year.
Those are awesome.
And so we award those in June. So
at the awards.
At the awards here. Yep, and then our leadership class also graduates for that one.
Speaking of the leadership class, what do our listeners, if somebody's wanting to get, do they have to be a chamber member to be in leadership?
I
don't know that question.
You do not have to be a chamber member, but we know once you come in, then you're going to probably want support. But there is 2 different levels. You do get a discount on pricing and stuff if you are a chamber member that participates. But anybody that is interested, they can get a hold of us. That's my next question.
And
bmiller@cadillac.org.
bmiller@cadillac.org.
Yeah, we can.
Would it be the same to be if they wanted to be a chamber member? Same email?
Yeah,
or do they
sure.
Contact?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep, we've got a lot going on, and we could talk for a long.
I know it. In my mind, I'm
time,
thinking things that would interest our viewers, and there is a lot. Again, being a leadership alum, I just think it's fantastic. It's fun to watch different personalities get together, and then that's behind the scenes stuff. I know that I've created relationships when I did those behind the scenes of Government Day or whatever, it doesn't matter, that I still have today. I still see these people. It's funny because that governor's breakfast for me is a little bit of a reunion, because I see a lot of my former classmates in leadership that I don't ever see. One time a year, so it's cool. And you're right, we all believe it was the best class ever.
Well, between, I would say, the advocacy and then our talent pipeline, which is our leadership programming. One of the other big pieces is kind of the networking and connection of resources in our area. So our Rise Ups, which are our probably biggest staple networking event that we host once a month. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, talk a little bit about Rise Up. Yeah.
Rise Up is critical in our community specifically because we have so many engaged leaders in the community. So these are the individuals that are coming to learn the 20 updates this month in our community people that are looking for volunteers, opportunities to be engaged, opportunities to be involved, the events going on, the fundraisers going on, and it's an opportunity to showcase a new business every month. So it's really a staple, what we share, and we have our own asks of the membership. I take advantage of asking about hot topic legislation, kind of trigger the membership, if you will, and have them come up and share that kind of feedback with me. But we also can provide our updates, hear those updates from our members, and getting us all in the same room. To your herding cats comment earlier, these are some of the busiest leaders in the community. So to get us all in the same room once a month to kind of
7 o'clock in the morning.
7 in the morning. I was
7
going to say, you got to let them know. It's a little early.
7 to
There's
8
always
a.m.
something to eat, though, but get there.
But it's fun because
It
each
is.
person only talks for about 3 minutes. So you're getting 20 updates in an hour.
Yep.
And there's always coffee,
Yes.
you know, so.
Yes. Again, it's that networking opportunity. Is there still something in the evening? I forget what. There's still a young professionals group, and I'm just in my mind, I'm trying
Yep,
to.
so we have a Connect to Cadillac. It was a newer program. We do have a young professionals group that's active in the area too. They meet at the same time once a month, which is a great program. And then the Chamber launched our Connect to Cadillac, which is also a networking group. But this one kind of forces the activity a little bit more. So if you are coming by yourself, or even if you're coming with a friend, when you come in, we're going to probably give you a color and have you go to a different group of people and have an activity to do with them.
So we're gonna
we kind
force
of
you out of your comfort
but
zone.
have fun doing it.
Why not,
So
though? Don't be
this
scared.
last
Don't be scared. Try
yeah,
it.
so we did we do coffee hours. We have 3 different events, and we rotate each event each month. So one is a coffee hour. The next one is an afternoon from 4 to 5:30, where we encourage the employers to send their employees, and we do that one's more of kind of a little bit of a mini leadership, if you will. And we usually have a speaker come for that. So leadership / professional development. And then the next month we do kind of a Friday evening, and that one's a little bit more fun. So last Friday night we actually did axe throwing. And the networking, though, was incredible because you had people that came in groups from businesses together, and we kind of split them up and did kind of a tournament. And there's no better way to kind of talk about your business while you're also learning new skills and laughing and stuff.
Absolutely.
And so just trying to take a little bit different take on showing up to a room and not being that extroverted person that knows how to necessarily strike up a conversation. But when you've got something fun to kind of do with it, it forces it in a little bit different way.
I think it's a great idea.
So
great idea.
It's newer,
Sure.
and just a different take on the business after 5. People loved those, but the workforce is a lot busier now. So at the end of a day, you've already been going your 50, 60 hours. You want to get home because you probably got kids to, rally or feed dinner or just breathe and turn off the people meter for a minute. Yeah, so everyone's busy. So we're just constantly reevaluating our programs and trying to figure out what our community needs and how we can meet their needs best.
That kind of leads me into a little bit backward on advocacy as far as, and I know because I've been privy, but our memberships might have questioned, our viewers might have questioned. It's not just economic development. It's housing, right? And it's you mentioned children daycare, right? These are all challenges that are not necessarily uncommon among whether it's retail, fast food, or manufacturing, right? So the chamber plays a role in that, right? I mean, you play a role, and then you've got that larger group, right? The Northern Michigan. Talk a little bit about that. I didn't finish Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance, but that's another huge piece that I think I want our viewers to understand what a chamber can do collectively to move the needle, if you will.
I'll start with the first part of the question.
Sorry.
That one of those 3 pillars, the talent pipeline, the advocacy, is the rural investment part. And the rural investment part is where we're truly standing in these conversations with people to learn what's going on. So over an extended period of time, we learned there was staple barriers to being involved, to being engaged from the workforce. Transportation, broadband, healthcare, childcare, housing. And all of a sudden you keep hearing these barriers and we're like, why are they not showing up to our business after 5? So we purposefully create this program that regardless of those diversity barriers, will meet you in one way, shape, or form at least once a quarter. To those other barriers, okay, we're going to create an experience to get you engaged. How are we going to fight on behalf of this at a legislative level? Because I can't retain workforce, I can't attract workforce if they don't have a place to live. They're stressed because they're living in a household with 2 or 3 households. It's too expensive to go to work and do childcare. I don't have a reliable ride to work. I don't have broadband enough to work remotely or hybrid here in the area, or my costs of my healthcare are way too high, or my mental health, I can't figure it out. There's so many different barriers on why people aren't going to school, why they aren't showing up to work. These types of conversations we bring up very regularly at our industry conversations, but to your comment on the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance side, they're priorities for us. What does it mean to reduce regulation to make things more affordable, or to provide funding opportunities so that we can provide more mental health services, to provide more transportation availability? We have just been awarded. We are the first out of 8 in the state. The state is fully funding it. Our public transportation is going to have a mobile app. It is releasing this week.
I saw that. Wasn't the ribbon cutting, if you will,
Yes.
of an app, which was kind of cool, was when the governor was here. She participated with that.
We are
that's
incredibly fortunate in Wexford County to have one of the most engaged transportation authorities in the state. Our executive director, Carrie Thompson, is absolutely amazing, but she fights for funding to make our public transit authority be able to meet riders where they're at. So in a lot of communities, these public transportation, especially in a rural community, their top ridership is education, school, doctor's appointments, then the errands. So as a completely objective third-party observer, I'm thinking public transportation is for shopping and my errands, but on a regular basis, that's the extras.
Way lower down, yeah.
And that's still such a need.
Sure.
You still need to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So she's got phenomenal programs where volunteers are taking people to the diversity of doctor's appointments that they have. But this new app works very similar to Uber or Lyft. It looks very similar. I love it. It's so user-friendly. You can pay on the app. You can watch the bus drive up to you, similarly to the Uber, to the Lyft. She's meeting this barrier because when you're late to work, when you're feeling anxious about getting to a doctor's appointment, you just went from having one barrier to 16 different stresses you're thinking about. Am I going to get fired? Are they going to reschedule this appointment? Am I going to have to redo this? Now this app is going to communicate with you so that I'm thinking about 3 different things now instead of 16. So we're reducing a mental health initiative while partnering with another barrier. These types of things happen when you can have a regional focus. It's one thing when I started out this conversation saying every chamber serves their community. But when I'm talking at a state or a federal level, they don't want to hear what one community is doing because they're there to represent the state. They're there to represent the country. So when I come and say, I'm from the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance, I'm from the knuckles up of Michigan plus the UP, I'm talking about a greater space that is having this impact, that has this need. One of the greatest successes that we've had in the last 2 years is rural communities have significant barriers, but we were growing in population while the rest of the state was dropping in population, which meant we didn't have the infrastructure to support it. And holy smokes, Batman, the people are coming anyway.
That's true. Can't stop them. Yeah.
So how do you continue to support the people that live here, but also the people that are coming? So we were very passionate and continuing to visit Lansing, and we were saying, we need the money, we need the voice, because we need more roads. We need our bridges to be fixed. We need this broadband investment. And all of a sudden, after hearing us numerous times, an entire department, it started as the Office of Rural Development, now the Office of Rural Prosperity, truly lifted off. This is a multi-million-dollar budget item that's in our state budget every year now, because the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance said, us as rural communities need a significant voice or we're not being represented. All of a sudden, our population numbers aren't the limitation on why we aren't part of the conversation. And that's the type of work that we do on a regular basis. When we had our COVID numbers, Wexford County specifically, we didn't have the numbers right away, but we were having these significant restrictions on our restaurants. Our restaurants struggle as is with tourism when weather, when you have no snow, when you have no ice. And definitely then we were asking, can you meet us where we're at? Can we do a social district? Can we do these igloos? Give us some flexibility, Can we do regional reopenings? And we'll meet you where you're at. We don't want people to get sick either, but we're willing to get creative about how we keep our businesses open. Because unlike an urban area, I'm not going to bounce back when I lose my restaurants tomorrow. I'm going to need time. I'm going to need evolution. So keeping the businesses that are investing their time, talent, and treasure now are so critical to fight for. That happens when all of us in the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance are fighting together.
That's 16 chambers.
Yeah.
16 chambers form that alliance.
Yeah, stronger together.
Stronger together.
That's awesome.
Yes, and over 12,000 businesses in membership are represented by
That's
those
wonderful.
16 chambers.
And that kind of started here, yeah?
The Cadillac Area Chamber of Commerce was one of the original 3 founding members of this organization that believed in a regional impact to have a larger voice.
Awesome. Absolutely. I mean, it's just wonderful. That community, that connection, the larger, the bigger, the voice is stronger, which moves the needle in every direction that you need it to. So that's awesome. Can't thank you guys enough, for being here. Is there any last bit of piece of advice or thought you want to share with our members? Anything else exciting? Opportunity, we're celebrating success.
I would just
talked
say,
a whole lot about
we don't know what we don't know. So we've just talked about just a small portion of all of the things that we're involved in. But if there's a barrier locally, no matter how big or small, that's what we're here for. Come talk to us, because we can usually connect you with somebody. If we don't always have the answers, but we can usually start those conversations or get several people in a room, whatever we need to do.
You've got the connections,
get
the
the
relationships.
get the needle moving. Talk to us.
That's awesome.
Well, we build those connections and relationships when people talk to us. She's got this Emerge Skill program that was built from feedback from the membership. The Connect to Cadillac program is built from the membership of her leadership program alumni and from the chamber membership. So we preach that at Rise Up, and we're begging for it. We can't stand for you unless you tell us.
We've got stuff for everybody. Come hang out with us.
I love it. Caitlyn and Beth, Cadillac Area Chamber of Commerce, thank you for being our guests today. That's our latest edition of Celebrating Success. I'm Dave Cox, your host. Thank you, and take care.